everybody. Welcome to On Cue. I'm Chris Moore.
And I'm Carol Lee Espy. Now, if you enjoy WQED's Doo-Wop series, you definitely want to stick around.
I brought back a story from Westmoreland County where a couple collects jukeboxes.
And they are beautiful. Wait till you see them. There's a whole basement full, and they are in great shape.
Yeah, they really are. You'll feel like you've walked back into the old corner drugstore.
Now, does this sound familiar? I get allergic smelling hay.
Ava Gabor, of course, yeah, that's the theme from Green Acres, right?
Very good. Well, tonight you'll meet a city-dwelling gal who traded in urban living for the life of farm in the Scenery Hill, Washington County, and she wrote a book about it.
That's all ahead, but let's get things started with tonight's cover story. Here's Stacy Smith.
All right, thank you, Chris and Carol. You see it on television and in the movies. Helicopter medics saving lives, often in dramatic situations. Obviously, the drama is sometimes hyped to try to attract viewers. In real life, though, the daily operation is not always tense, but helicopter medics will tell you each case they handle is treated as seriously as the next. In fact, Pittsburgh's flight teams are among the most respected in the nation. MedEvac, for example, is the largest air medical program in the United States, and recently it carried its 50,000th patient, only the second program in the country to do so. Well, our photojournalist Paul Ruggieri recently rode along to bring you their day from beginning to end.
Corporate Air, Stat 5. Stat 5, you can proceed direct to Stat 9.
The day starts at 7 o'clock.
My name is Joe Springer, and I'm an EMS pilot.
Overcast, visibility 5, temperature.
The first thing we do is we check the weather. We get on the weather computers and we check our current weather, and especially the forecast conditions. We can get caught somewhere. And then once we check that, we go down and we brief the crew. All right, let's see here. Good morning. It's forecast right now looks like it's IFR, 600 feet overcast, about 1.5 miles in visibility. We do have some marginal weather today. If you guys don't feel comfortable, just say the magic word and that's abort. You know, and I'll do one.
Safety is the #1 concern. That's what's going through our heads. We need to get down on the ground and secure before we can even begin to worry about the patient.
I'll land somewhere and then we'll start coordinating.
My name's Albert Bolin. I'm a flight paramedic.
Transfer if we have a patient on board.
I've been flying for about 4 years now.
And Greg, if you can help me out by talking to the fire chief on the Fox.
My name's Greg Halkoski. I'm a flight nurse with MedEvac. I've been involved in medicine for almost 28 years. A lot of good common sense. That's what it takes to do this job. You can't come here and do things haphazard. You have to be precise in what you do. Every action is deliberate, and it's usually with safety in mind.
Do a pre-flight in the aircraft. Make sure the aircraft's good for today's mission.
The rest of the day is primarily being prepared.
Basically what you do is you come out here, you get all your straps ready to go. By having your straps all ready to go, if I get a call, I can get a quick response.
We plan for the worst and hope for the best, but can handle the worst, and sometimes even worse than we think it is.
The rest of the day is fairly relaxing until the tones go off. The person's best chance of survival
Clear on the right.
begins at the time of the call.
Skids are clean. With the children's team, time out 1531. Some initial contact, you have.
By putting the aircraft in areas that typically took well over an hour transport time to get a critically ill or injured patient to a hospital, that allowed patients from the rural areas to get the level of care that everybody needs. It's somewhat stressful. The reality is the training that we have received and the amount of training that we continuously get year to year is top quality. We need to be prepared for every patient that we're about to get.
Check out MedEvac 1 on final, Wheeling Hospital. That's 1458.
I love doing what I'm doing. My primary motivation is good quality patient care. Getting a patient from an area that may not have the level of care that is needed and transporting them to an area that has the quality of care that is needed to save their life. And going on day to day, being able to treat those patients and transport them quickly to a tertiary care center is very fulfilling to me. Knowing that the patient has a very good chance of life because of the facility that we're taking them to is very rewarding.
Okay, UPMC triage, MedEvac 5 showed about 9 minutes out, 75-year-old male patient. Patient presented to the outlying facility with an ataxic gait and diplopia. Only medical history is hypertension unknown.
As the pilot, I'm the least important person in the aircraft unless there's an emergency or it's bad weather. But really, the people that are most important are the nurse and the paramedic, because they're lifesavers.
Stack out MedEvac 1, Secure County.
It's the experienced crew in the back, because once they get their hands on the patient, the chance of that person living greatly increase.
Our patient contact time is so brief that we barely get to know the patient. But a lot of times those patients come back and tell us how much they enjoyed the care that we gave and how much of a difference it made in their lives.
Corporate Air, Stat 5 in the blind. I'll be going to Statland for cold gas. Thank you.
A successful day is when we can definitely make a change in people's lives.
What'd you get for arrival time?
Come back in one piece. 10 fingers, 10 toes. And we can leave here and go home to our families. And I've made a difference in some people's lives.
Well, Albert Boland is our guest this evening. He is a stat MedEvac paramedic and also the outreach manager for the state MedEvac program. Albert, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you very much.
The first question would be, you've done it now for 4.5 years, you say, I think?
That's right.
Is it still exciting?
Absolutely.
What makes it so exciting?
It's the not knowing what you're going to get next. It's the thrill of being able to take care of somebody who really needs a high level of care and taking them from an area that has little to no availability of that high level and taking them to a Pittsburgh hospital that can give them that care.
How often are you transporting patients who are already at a hospital as opposed to landing at the scene of an accident or a fire or something?
That's a great question. Actually, 75% of what we do is from hospital to hospital, and roughly 25% is from the scene of the accident.
I presume you would prefer to be from hospital to hospital because of just the landing availability.
Absolutely. There are a few hospitals that are in the rural areas that don't have a true designated helipad, but it is a lot safer.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's go to the ones kind of if there is an accident. Sometimes you are called in on those. It may be in a rural area or even here in Allegheny County sometimes if there are huge traffic jams. Mm-hmm. How does it work? The call comes in earlier and you guys know something's coming?
Well, a lot of times people will, the paramedics that are being dispatched for the accident have an idea based on what they hear from the dispatch as to whether or not it's significant enough to at least let us know about it. When they do, we call that being placed on standby. We'll actually go out and sit in the aircraft. The aircraft that you saw on the preview, it takes about 3 minutes to start up. So it saves time by us knowing that there's a potential call. We'll sit in the aircraft, wait for the tones to go off again. It saves about 2 to 3 minutes, and we can be off the ground in less than that.
And how far out will you fly?
We've done, in the helicopter, we go anywhere probably within an hour's flight time. And we have fixed-wing aircraft that can go all over the world. Now,
an hour's flight time in the MedEvac helicopter is what, in miles?
Well, we just put an aircraft in Clearfield County, which is an hour flight time from Clearfield to Pittsburgh. Okay. And depending on where you are stuck in traffic, it takes roughly 3 hours.
Now, let's say if this is it's the scene of an accident, obviously either fire personnel or other medical types have already been at that scene and tried to help the person, the victim at that point. And then, do you do much in the plane itself or the helicopter itself?
Actually,
you and the nurse, I should say.
Right. What I usually tell people is the helicopter is there for speed primarily. If we can't do it faster by helicopter, then we shouldn't be there. However, there are a variety of different pieces of equipment and medication that we have in the helicopter that the typical paramedic in Pennsylvania cannot carry. So there is a higher level of care that is supplied by the license of the nurse and the medical direction that we receive.
Right now, how many hospitals use stat MedEvac?
Actually, any hospital that is a tertiary care center, meaning that they can provide a higher level of care than a regular community hospital, can receive our services. We have 5 hospitals that own us. Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh, Mercy Hospital, UPMC Presbyterian, UPMC Shadyside, and West Penn Hospital all have an invested interest in our program and hope to receive the benefits from our program.
There is another medical flight helicopter in town also. Who decides whether you're sent or the other one is sent?
Primarily it's either based on insurance or a lot of times pre-hospitally it depends on who the paramedic prefers or who the firemen prefer. But a lot of times it's insurance-based, or there's a common familiarity with doctors, so they'll usually refer the patients to that particular hospital.
Have you ever lost anyone in flight? I mean, by that I mean have they died? Not I mean falling out by any means.
Sure. No. We don't.
Not at least. That would be a big story if you did.
Unfortunately, it would be. No, we prefer to not say that anybody dies in our helicopter. We wait until they get into the tertiary care center, and we've done as much as we could. The doctors do as much as they can, and then we'll see where we're at that point.
One final question for you. Is there a particular case that stays in your mind that you knew because of what you did made a difference?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There was one case, a gentleman lost both of his legs traumatically, and because of the blood that we carry and because of the interventions that were done by the paramedics on scene, that gentleman is alive today.
Albert Boland, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you very much.
And the great work you guys do.
Thank you
Appreciate
very much. I appreciate it.
Coming up next, you'll meet a local author who found love, life,